no more weeping and no wailing.
I would describe him as a strong man, a very compassionate man, a man that leads with his heart. He was one of those kind of people that would help anyone in need. That's why he was drawn to the protective services for his career.
It was the 29th of May and there was chaos in this city. The protests were everywhere and the police were really stretched. Pat Underwood and a fellow officer were sent to this building here to guard it against those protesters. However, that's when the assailant struck. He was killed and his fellow officer was badly injured.
Pat's fiancée called, and then she said that Pat had been shot and he had been killed. At that point, I remember screaming, but I don't know if it was her or if it was me.
Police alleged Air Force Staff Sergeant Stephen Carrillo fired the assault rifle used in that drive-by attack, the van driven by an accomplice, Robert Justice, both accused of belonging to the boogaloo movement. A week later, police allege Carrillo shot dead a sheriff's deputy during another gun battle.
Somebody please come help!
We are holding him on the ground right here!
Local people caught and held Carrillo, but not before he'd scrawled "boog" and stopped the duality in his own blood on the bonnet of a vehicle he'd carjacked.
The boogaloo term is used by extremists to reference a violent uprising or impending civil war in the United States.
It's boogaloo time. If we all stood together just one day, we could take this country back.
Often sporting Hawaiian shirts and military-style weapons, the boogaloo movement is a strange mix of far right and left, working to instigate a revolution against what they see as a corrupt and dangerous government.
I don't give a damn about your state law.
Okay. This video shows an armed boogaloo group pushing their causes even before the Black Lives Matter protests. In the streets of Raleigh, North Carolina, they were demanding an end to the coronavirus restrictions. 22-year-old Ryan Titus is an active member of boogaloo. He and others grabbed their guns and travelled to Minneapolis when violent protests erupted after the killing of George Floyd.
There were some alleged reports from the KKK that they had planned to attack certain parts of North Minneapolis in a particularly African-American neighborhood. So we were out there working with those communities to make sure that those points were defended.
Law enforcement officials say boogaloo members have used the ongoing protests to encourage an uprising. Ryan Tita describes himself as a left-leaning anarchist and told me boogaloo adherents like him come from across the political spectrum.
We want the government to be less involved in people's lives because people are always going to be able to know better for themselves what they need than the government would.
Tell me about Stephen Carrillo. He's been accused of killing 2 law enforcement officers and he's used the boogaloo name. Is he a member?
Yeah, so I do not know Steve personally, but it looks like he was. Clearly, it's not something I would have done, obviously. But I can understand how someone could logically come to that conclusion.
3 men accused of boogaloo ties have been charged with planning to use protests in Las Vegas to launch attacks on police using guns and firebombs.
Yeah, so it's kind of a contemporary rebranding of the militia movement that's been around in America for a while. There's definitely not an organization of any kind. It is a bunch of heavily armed, angry people, though, online whipping each other up with these memes and stuff like that. So that part's concerning.
Tucked away in hidden chat rooms, it's hard to know what's just talk and what could be deadly action. For Pat Underwood's family, the cost is tragically clear.
His life, well, his death, has affected so many people.
And an organisation, it appears, a shadowy organisation that most of us had never heard of before, behind this.
I would prefer not to even speak the name because I don't want to give them any type of relevance. People that work in the shadows to create chaos need to remain in the shadows and let God deal with them.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.